thank you, Tony, for making this film. Thank you, Hoover Institute, to host this event. Perry gave me a question. Said, what was the source of Fang Lizhi's courage? I studied physics under him, and I worked as a human rights person in exile with him. Let me give my take, and I wrote it down. It's a sign of aging. But I'm not aging very well compared with you two. Okay. Let's take this situation we just saw in the movie and heard from Perry and Over, which is he and his wife Li Shuxian was under the siege in refugee, living in U.S. Embassy. Outside, I was back in Beijing in the summer of 1989. There were the tanks on the street. There were the soldiers on the street. There were thousands of people already being imprisoned. And I also know the secret agent all over U.S. Embassy. Fang Lizhi finished several of his astrophysics papers during that 13 months. And he completed the draft of his biography, autobiography, reflecting with full clarity of the meaning of his life. How? How does a man under that kind of threat maintain that kind of concentration, calm, and productivity? My take, the answer is in something he said during that period. When he accepted that Robert Kennedy Human Rights Award, speaking from inside of the embassy, he ended his speech in these words: "May our universe bless us." Now, Fang Lizhi was not shaped by, he was shaped by classical Chinese culture, okay? Trained by modern physics. He was not a Christian. He didn't pray in any traditional sense. So he wasn't simply reaching for a substitute word when God felt unavailable for him. He was speaking from the deepest place he actually inhabited. Einstein wrote in 1930, "The most beautiful emotion we can experience is the mysterious. It is a fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science." For Einstein, that wasn't a romantic sentiment. It was a precise description of what drives a physicist into an interior of things. Those patterns, those order, those beauty, the fact that there is actually something but nothing of this universe, the fact that we actually aware. And for me, Fang Lizhi spent his life at that interior. Gravitational equations, the arrow of time, the large structure of the universe. For a physicist at that depth, the universe is not an object to study. It is a home. It is a place you truly come from, and it's a place you truly return to. When Fang Lizhi said, "May our universe bless us," he was saying, I know where I belong, and no political power on earth can take that away from me. There's another man, Andrei Sakharov. Once he wrote in his diary, "God is not a ruler of the world, not a creator of his laws, but the guarantor of the meaning of existence, despite all appearances of meaningless senselessness. Even in a brief moment of life and communion, a person can feel the infinite. Sakharov wasn't a religious man in any conventional sense, and he had found something, a fixed point, beneath the apparent absurdity of existence that no gulag, no persecution, no state power could reach, something that guaranteed meaning when everything around him argued for despair. Where Sakharov said, God, Fang said, universe. But they were pointing at the same thing, a truth beneath existence that holds, that has always held, and no political power can confiscate. And that's where Fang Lizhi lived, even inside of those embassy walls. And that is the source of his moral courage. I'm about to finish, but let me just say this. As someone who studied physics, and as someone who worked at the human rights cause with Fang Lizhi for decades, I know that when you truly trust that, not as a slogan, but as something you have arrived at the deepest hours of your work, at the deepest place of your life, where thought and what you have lived through becomes certainty, and the certainty becomes the ground you stand on, then the courage to say, this is wrong, that doesn't feel like heroism. It feels like telling the truth about what you can plainly see. And Fang Lizhi was not an extraordinary man that braver than other people. Fang Lizhi was extraordinary because he was more at home in the universe than most people ever allow themselves to be. That is what his life and this film is all about. Thank you.